Hello students, in this video we're going to make the sprite bounce forever within the stage. This is the first step to make our Pong game. Alright, so the first thing that we have to do is select the sprite tab. So remember to click on the project and it will expand so you see all the steps. So select the sprite tab. We're also going to click on the icon below the sprite tab and we're going to click on paint. So let's follow all those steps. So I'm going to go to sprites. And I don't want this sprite, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I'm going to select on the plus one. That was the second step. And the last step was to go to paint. All right. So let me just check all those steps. So we have this done already. Okay, so this is done. And I'm going to go to the second step, which is design a sprite. In design a sprite, I'm already entering the paint sprite mode. So it's already here. And I'm going to select the square icon. And then I'm gonna name the new sprite after I design the platform. So let's go ahead and do that. So select the square over here, and then I will be able to create a platform. So I can just probably do it like this, not that big, and move it to the middle. And the next step was to name the sprite platform. That's all I have to do. And then I'm just gonna move this a little bit to the top. Okay, so now that that is done, I'm going to check it off and I'm gonna go to the next step, which is add a sprite. And that sprite is gonna be a ball. So we're gonna select the sprite tab again, click on the plus icon, and we're gonna search the sprite that I want, which is a ball. I want a ball. Select the sprite and then click OK. Let's see if I remember those steps. Select the sprite tab again. Since I'm here in design mode, I'm going to exit with an X. And then I'm going to click on add to add a new sprite, and I search it, and the one that I'm looking for is ball. Once I find it, I'll click on it, select it, and then click OK. And that will bring the ball over here. I already follow all those steps, so I'm just going to check them off one by one. And then after I clicked on the add sprite, I'm going to go to the next step, which is position the sprite on the stage. And this has 9 steps that I'm going to follow. The first one is to click on the 9 points to see the coordinates. The second one is to click on the blue motion circle in the blue category to see go to X and Y. So let's do that. So the first thing is to click on the coordinates. So I just want to observe all the coordinates. The coordinates go from X and they also go from Y. So we have a Y axis and we have an X axis from -240 to 240. So we can position any sprite there. So for example, if I want to position the sprite in the 0x and 0y, it will be right in the middle. So, or 200x and -100y, it would be right here. And the instruction was telling us to click on motion and observe the go to X and Y command. Alright, so I already did that. And let's go to the coordinates will help you position the sprite accurately. Okay, the y-axis increases as you go up and decreases as you go down. So that means that this is go up and this is go down. That's the y-axis. The x-axis increases as you go right and decreases as you go left. So it decreases as I go left and increases as I go right, to the right. What else does it say? Set go to x0 and y0 to center the sprite. So let's follow this instruction so we can center the sprite. And if you can actually see the picture, and I'll click on it, you can see that I'm going to click on go to x0 and y0 to position the sprite in the middle. So let's do that. So if I select go to X, and I'll make that bigger for you, and I go to X0 and Y0, and then I click on it, the ball is gonna go straight to the middle. No matter where I put it, and then I click on it, it's going straight to the middle, which is X0 and Y0. So let's see what else is next. Now after I've done this, it says, as you move the sprite, observe how the X and Y values change to reflect its new position on the go to command. So that means that I'm looking at this picture, and as I move it, I'm going to see that the go to X and Y, they're going to be changing. So let's do that. And go to M block and then open here and observe go to. So if I move it around, you'll see how over here the position is changing. So let's go ahead and do this, do that, and the position will be changing all the time. All right, I already observed that. So I'm going to click on the step. Find the events commands in the yellow category. Events commands in the yellow category. Let's do that. Here you go. And then it also says move the sprite away from the original position to see how clicking on the flag resets its position to the one you set in the go to command. So I'm going to move. Here's what I want you to learn. So I want you to learn that when I click on the flag in events, which is starting the program, whatever position I have initially before I click on set X and I'm sorry, go to X or go to Y. Let's say I want this to start over here. Immediately it changes and updates the position of the sprite. So let's just put it here. Now, if I put it here, that means that whenever I click on the flag, this is where I want the sprite to always begin. So if I click there, of course, it's already there. But if I, let's say I'm playing the game like this, like that, and the ball is bouncing, you know, different ways, and then the game ends here, and I want the game and the ball to begin here, when I click on the flag, it will go back to this position because it's telling it to go to X minus 2, which is about here, and Y minus 818. Look, this is the 800, and 818 is like about here, which is the middle of the ball. And that's when I finish this step number 4. Now, to finish our small project of making the sprite bounce forever within the stage, I'm going to direct the sprite to move in some direction. So I click here, and then I follow the instructions to direct it to the sprite to move in some direction. So find the motion commands in the blue category. Select the pointing direction command to set the direction to the sprite will face. So the sprite will face this direction, which is going upwards to the right. And I'm going to choose these commands. Pointing direction 45 degrees, and it's going to be moving 10 steps. Okay, so let's do that. So let's close this picture, and this picture. Let's get rid of the coordinates and go to the motion command. And let's say that I want the direction, pointing direction 45, which is like about to the right. And when I click on it, the ball is going to position there. You don't see it because it's all yellow. But you see how it moved a little bit? I don't know if you noticed that. It moved a little bit and it's positioning this way. So now when I add the move 10 steps command, it's going to start going 10 steps. So check it out. But it's going to be going to 45 degrees. What happens if I make it go straight up? And that would be 0 degrees. It's going to go up 10 steps. What happens if I make it go to the left? And it's going to go to the left. So the left means minus 90 degrees. And if I want it to go downwards, that's going to be 180 degrees. So remember, when I click here, it's going to go to the initial position. And I want this to go to the right. And I want it to go upwards. So the position that we're going to use for this game is pointing direction 45. And it's going to do this. All right, so let's check that off. Find the motion in the blue category, select the pointing direction, select the move steps commands to move the sprite forward in the direction it's facing. Adjust the numbers of steps to control how far the sprite moves. I don't want to do that because I want it to go forever. Look, and that's the next step. If you want the sprite to move forever, use the forever loop from the control commands in the orange category to continuously execute the move command. So I'm going to go to the orange category, which is events. No, I think it's controls, yeah. And I'm going to execute that command. So controls, and I'm going to look for forever, which is right here. So basically, I'm going to choose this. Let's continue following the instructions for you. And in the forever loop, you can also include a if on edge bounce command from the motion category to make the sprite bounce back when it reaches the edge of the stage. So, which is this picture over here. You will notice that I'm going to use pointing direction 45 degrees, not in the forever loop. Not in the forever loop. Why not? Because I don't want this direction to change continuously. I want it to be set only once. Pointing direction 45 to the right is going to be set only once. All right. And the forever command is going to make sure that this is moving continuously. And if it's on an edge, it's going to bounce. So let's go ahead and do that on M block. So I'm going to say pointing direction outside the forever loop, move 10 steps forever. Let me show you what happens if I make it. I click on the flag and then make this go forever. Pointing their direction, but it's not going to bounce. That's why I have to go to motion and I need to set it to bounce. Where is the bounce command? If on edge, bounce. Forever is checking that if it's on an edge, it's going to bounce. You see how it's going back? There you go. Now it's, like bouncing forever, and it's going to stay there forever. And let's see if we finish the project. In the forever loop, okay, I already did that. It is important that you place the if on edge bounce command inside the forever loop to ensure it is constantly checking for the edge collisions as the sprite moves. Yeah. The pointing direction command allows you to set the initial facing direction of the sprite before it starts moving. And do not place the pointing direction command inside the forever loop, as this would reset the sprite's direction continuously, preventing it from changing direction when bouncing off edges. So let me show you that exactly. So let's say I made a mistake and I decide to put the pointing direction here, making it forever do this, like it's going to be rotating forever. Pointing in there. No, you know what? That's not what it's going to be doing. At the beginning, it's always going to be pointing in this direction. So if it bounces here, it's not going to go a different direction. And let's just see that in action. So I click here and it's gonna stay there. You know why? Let me show you the direction it's taking. Supposedly it's taking direction 135 at the beginning. Let's see that in action. At the beginning, let me see. If I click here, this is gonna be in direction 45. And let's see that. 45, 45, minus 45. So there's a conflict here because when you click on edge, the program is telling it, you know what, if it's bouncing, go to direction 135. But since we have a command here that is telling it to go forever in this direction, there is a conflict here. So what is the computer deciding to do? The computer is deciding to stay in this direction. But if I put it outside, pointing direction beginning here, and then I click here, actually let's click to start, and now click here. Look at the direction. You see how the directions change? Directions, look, 135, minus 45, 45, because this is only set at the beginning. We only have pointing direction 45 just at the beginning. So that's why it is changing when it's bouncing, because we have this command here. All right, and this is the project. So just to finish, we're just putting it all together here, and we just click on the flag, and the ball is gonna bounce forever. And did you notice how it's moving? Look, whenever it bounces, it rotates a little bit. All right, so let's see our instructions, and we finished it all. And now we have make the sprite bounce forever within the stage completed, 29 steps. So what are we going to do next? We're going to handle the platform, because we need to move this platform to the left and to the right to make the ball bounce on it. So see you next time.